I'm Dan Penter.
My name is Mark Langton.
I'm Peter.
My name is Staff Sergeant Richie Rees. My gamer tag is Chief Lid.
Gamer tag is Pete P Gaming.
My gamer tag I play under is SG_Reaper.
My gamer tag is Max Chat. I think the thing I'm looking forward to most as part of the UVG is actually meeting new people. There's a lot of veterans out there who haven't been connected to gaming.
Meeting fellow veterans and playing with fellow veterans, that's what I'm looking forward to do.
So just staying part of a community. So when I was in the RAF, I was part of the RAF Esports, so we did a few meetups during that. I'm looking forward to keeping that going with the veterans and expanding it, talking to the other services, which I didn't really do too much of.
We've started with a core of about 60 people that some of us knew, and as it grows every week, new people turn up, and I love meeting new people and getting to know them and gaming with them.
The thing with veterans is we understand each other.
I'm looking forward to being part of the UVG because for me, as a still serving in the British Army at the moment, is that setting that stepping stone for individuals who do eventually leave the services, and looking forward to what UVG can offer them as a gamer, if they are a gamer, or even if they're not a gamer. It's just the community that is offered to them from UVG, where, you know, as a serving soldier who, you know, taking that transition into civilian street is quite hard. So for them, having that community where you got ex-servicemen, ex-service women, for them, they can then look at those communities, and it'll be hopefully make that transition easier for them.
I think the biggest thing that UVG will do for the veterans gaming community is to connect veterans through gaming.
Speaking with other veterans, that's the main thing veterans need to speak. We have a very thing that we're all...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the grand final. It's been a strange one. Joe, I did say everything could happen, and it did happen. And then some more on top of that. First of all, still, what an opening game one.
Yeah, it was outstanding from an RAF Storm Shadows perspective. Almost faultless 7-0 winners. It's pretty emphatic, right? And as far as the Air Cadets are concerned, I mean, they've made it to the final. They've scored crucial points on the board. They've just got to, take it for what it is. It wasn't an easy game for the Storm Shadows. They absolutely outclassed them. Can they provide more of a test for the Storm Shadows? I mean, I don't think they'll care, because end of the day, it's valuable points scored, right? But whether or not they can make anything more of it is yet to be seen.
Certainly so, but will it be a little bit of seeing as much as they can get out of the game here? Yak, however, does get a goal back in it, and just like that, with everything that was sort of hesitations earlier, they've now suddenly got a game, at least a goal on the board.
They have indeed, and that might be the start of some kind of a comeback for them. 1-0 to the good now. And it was Yak, the player who was on no other game than GTA between the quarterfinal and semi-final. That's some method of staying warm, and I'm not going to let him live that one down. Seems to have worked there because they have made it to the grand final. Biz goes up, central now, inside the RAF Storm Shadows penalty area. Okay, lets it run. Biz only as far as Envy now. Yak comes across. Beats two players there. It's good from the Rattlers player. P. Limited boost, so also a flick. The flick only as far as Cash, and Envy rises high. Knocks it over Yak now. Danger here for the Rattlers, but his clearance falls short because he was demoed out of the way. It's nice and aggressive from the Rattlers. This is better. It's a much improved performance now. At this point in game one, they conceded about 3 or 4 goals. So already a drastic improvement in their performance, and they seem like they've solidified and stabilized as well as the Storm Shadows push for an equalizer, and nobody's there on the rebound.
And nearly that rebound could have been a costly one, but 1 goal away here, and you're just sort of, for their sake, just hoping things would be going into it. But for Rattlers themselves here, you'd be looking at this sort of type of game and sort of going, what can we get out of it here? Hold a 1 goal lead as long as they possibly can is perfect from them.
That's all they need to do, is hold on, and some will call it parking the bus in football terms. And it's effective. It's not pretty, but it doesn't need to be, especially in grand finals. And of course, there is cash money on the line as well. It's probably worth mentioning. There is £125 on the winner of this game in terms of a prize pool. that both of these two teams are playing for, and Envy looks to combine with P, and does so. And Biz there facing his own backball with some good defending. K though keeps the press alive. BCN, his clearance falls short. It's a nice bit of link-up play there between Envy and P, and it almost resulted in a goal, but Biz with some really good defending. And you can see they're camped now inside the half of the RAF, well, they used to be called the RAF, of the Rattlers, but they can't find an opening right now. It's Envy's shot, central, but nobody there.
Well, certainly so, and what a game is going to be eventually causing out here. Another quick shot down the line here, and Yak, who continues it here, and it's almost as like here Rattlers are happy to play the ball as much as to the corner, more so than the net here, which in its own regards here, it's a safe strategy, but it's one I wouldn't go too long in terms of the next 2 minutes with.
There is a player from the RF Hurricanes and from the Lossiemouth Phantoms, known by Sean Dyke, who love the style of play that the Rattlers are employing at this moment in time. He'll be proud, I'm sure, but up goes K. This is dangerous. You don't want to give him too much time. Beats two Rattlers players, but they still persist. The lead for the Rattlers still intact. There's the shot by P. Is bouncing dangerously across the line, and it eventually finds its way in. The RAF Storm Shadows back on level terms here with 1 minute and 30 to play. It was coming. Eventually they broke through, and the Storm Shadows now with the momentum.
Certainly so, and with that particular movement of play here, you'll be looking at and sort of going, right, what can we do in these sort of situations? But you know, for their sake of it, going sort of 1-1 in this situation here. P with a quick shot, 2-1. It is, however, the downward spiral when you let that sort of titanium come through.
Another excellent finish by P. He has been the man of the moment for me for the RAF Storm Shadows. You know, a player that has put in the work off the pitch, scrimming constantly, and he's getting his reward. He is seeing the improvement, and under, you know, the experience of Cash and alongside the youth and the bright spark that is Envy, he's really beginning to show his quality. And Cedric, of course, the captain of the RAF Storm Shadows, not playing tonight, on a plane to somewhere in Europe for a sunny getaway, will be landing and watching this one back on the VOD, and he'll be very happy with what his team's done here tonight. It looks to be, as if everything goes well for the next 2.5 games, the RAF Storm Shadows will be Qualifier 3 champions. Plenty of work to do, though. That is a premature statement. Plenty of work to do. This is best of 7 now, and this is only game 2.
Game 2, another particular play into the middle would be ideal for them here. That hasn't, of course, worked out here. Another particular shot here, and Joe Watt here. It's 2-2 when suddenly things are becoming a little bit more tense on how things could be.
Fastest Curse striking again, this time against the RAF Storm Shadows. I said they were comfortable, and suddenly they concede into the final 38 seconds here of game number 2. Deadlocked, and it's K and Yak to kick us off here. P with some time in the air, lovely first touch, and goes for an aerial dribble. Beats Biz, no, Biz does well to divert the ball away to his right-hand side. Envy coming up, lovely fake play by Envy. Goes for the bump, that is superb by the young starlet that is Envy. Look at the level of composure here to beat one player with a fake, go underneath the car of BCN, and then hunt down Biz with a bump, frees up the space for K to place into the empty net. 3-2 to the RAF Storm Shadows, and surely now inside the final 24 seconds, they don't concede another. But of course, Danny, the famous words in football commentary uttered for the last, 30, 40 years, you're only most vulnerable when you've just scored.
Well, it's certainly one of the phrases there, and that nearly became the staple of another one, a particular goal here, and it's a no goal. You were saying, Stale?
I was saying what I said, and it came true. That's 2 Casters Curse inside a minute here, and the Storm Shadows concede. It was a good goal, good pressure by the Rattlers, and they deserve to be level. 3-3. Are we going to have one of our first overtimes of the evening, or will there be a late twist in the table? It was almost destined for the net, but overtime saving the RAF Storm Shadows there for what would have been a shock defeat in game 2. 3-3, and suddenly it's everything to play for here. The Rattlers much improved.
Certainly, but again, whether it's an improvement or not here, it's not a win, and unfortunately that's the mindset they've got to have here. How do you conjure that particular magic spell to get it back down at 1 apiece here. Blizz with no touch, and BCN has dropped back here, but I don't want to sit here and say it took them a game to get going here, but they were essentially the first semi-final here, the Rattlers, so they, had a little bit more time, shall we say, off the game here. Suddenly, second game into things, and suddenly they're back within touching distance here, and that one could have been precarious. Back to the backboard, and eventually tapped in for the 3.
Again, wonderful initial work by Cash. Commits 2 Rattlers players, and then it was a nice dink onto the backboard by P. He committed, again, the 3rd player, and it freed up the goal for Envy. And again, it's easier said than done finishing off those kinds of chances. When the net is gaping wide open, you have to be able to hit it under pressure. He does just that. Top left, and the Storm Shadows go 2-0 up, and they're within 2 of a champion, or one game now of a championship point.
Certainly so, and it's one of those days you look at and you sort of go, this is what we expected from them. How do you sort of get back into the game? How do you, suddenly do it? That's what the Rattlers did, but it's that statement we said, it's the RAF sort of performance. They've stepped it up time and time again, and when they've got stronger as the tournament progresses, it just seems to be nobody's able to catch them.
Not a bad way to be. Playing with momentum is always a good thing, especially in esports. From a mental perspective, if you can carry momentum, you really can just take opposition by surprise and by storm. And, no pun intended, but that's exactly what the RAS Storm Shadows have done. And if they can continue that, if they can replicate that 2 more times, they will carry out, they will leave Qualifier 3 with maximum points and, make all but sure that they maximize their chances of making that all-important September LAN at a place that is still yet to be announced. But I'm sure it's going to be a cracker. I can't wait for it.
Certainly so, and with everything that is on the line here, it'll be interesting to see what will be eventually be happening shortly. But with the particular game itself here, Cash will grab another goal, and it should be, well, how can we say it, 1-0 happy days already.
What a finish, by the way, from that left-hand side. Well, what a skim. That is absolutely insane. And some would call it luck, but if you know Cash and his level of experience playing at the professional level for, all of his career, that's exactly the kind of goal that wins you game, against other professionals. That is nothing short of world class.
Well, it might be temporary world class here, but in order to all being tipped high up here in V, just sitting, dropping deep and back here. P and Kaishu just rotating all the way here, and this is sort of, maybe I might be wrong to say here, as Envy's just let that one drop in here. I was going to say, since Kai's has been on the pitch, Envy doesn't need to be that sort of star player. He's unfortunately still got to do the basics.
That's honestly a really good finish by BCN. Again, a lot of the goal to aim at, and from that close under this kind of pressure, good players, better players, even at the standard that Cash plays at, to miss. But he kept his calm. And now the Rattlers are level again. It's another improved performance from them again. They've had it all to do, playing against the strongest Storm Shadow side that there's ever been. And so far, you can see them combining, looking for a second goal. Up goes Envy. He's flying in as well now. Cash, 1-on-1 defending too, but again, does it with excellence. Oh my god, off the sidewall as well. That's twice in one game he's done it. Look at this first touch, by the way, Danny. Beautiful, reads it in its entirety, knows where the flight of the ball's going to go, and he's there to flick it home into the empty net. And if there was any doubt of it being luck first time round, nobody can say he didn't mean that second time.
I don't think anybody's going to be questioning the Kaish factor at that point here, as that one, that could have been shot at the tournament. Arguably now save here, and straight on the counter for 3-1.
Really tricky for the Storm Shadows there. They've managed to come away with the 2-1 lead still intact, and Envy takes a nice soft touch off that right hand side, relieving the pressure from his team, allows K to cut the rotation and add his experience onto the defensive sequence. BCN in an awkward position, but Biz combining with Yak, and away they come. It's a good 50. Can Biz steer it home? He can't. Yak on the rebound, still unable to break the Storm Shadows defense, and the 2-1 lead still intact, only just though. And good signs for the Rattlers.
Well, it might be a bit of life here, but it's going to be expunged as quickly as it can get here. Kaish knocking that one top right, and just as it gets here, half a game still left here, and championship points are begging.
Indeed, one game separates the RAF Storm Shadows from 3 match championship points. And there's nothing to rush here for them. They've got the lead now. They can almost reverse if they want to what the Rattlers were doing to them, which was, parking the bus essentially and playing very defensive-minded with the lead. And they almost managed to pull off against Storm Shadows. And now the Storm Shadows have the choice to either do that or extend that lead to 4 and give them more and more breathing space, which is how game 1 went down. There goes P, finds the top right corner, but it's off the inside of the post. So unfortunate if you're P, who has been rifling them in from all kinds of angles all night long. That time his radar was a tiny bit off. Up goes K, into P, into the empty net. It's 4-1 and complete control now of game number 3 for the Storm Shadows.
Certainly so, and just like that there, 1, 2, and simply 3, and it's just amazing how quickly you can sort of essentially run away in the games here. And the RAF, I don't want to sound, cruel here, but we're maybe on sort of route here for the fastest win in the grand final here.
Certainly seems that way, and that's of course no disrespect to, the Rattlers. They have been superb, and I like how they've been able to bring themselves back into the game. They did what I said, and they steadied themselves within the breaks, the ad hoc breaks that the games give you. You get 60 seconds. They used it first time round, and they've improved in the same way that they've also improved second time round as well. That was a close one from Cash. Good save by BCN. And I enjoy seeing the improvement that teams make when they're up against it. And it's easily noticeable here for the Rattlers. And if they can, go one better and go ahead again, like they did in game number 2, who knows, they may be able to get a game on the board. And at that point, momentum can shift again. The disadvantage that they have is against players of MVP and Cash's quality. You're always going to find it hard to break their mental. They are there for a reason. They've been under the military Rocket League spotlight for years now, and they're no stranger to the big stage.
Well, the big stage of all, September, is of course looming around here, just a month give or take away. And anybody could of course sign up Qualifier for the links probably down in chat respectively, so to get involved here, because the largest amount of sign-ups came around here, the biggest amount of individual likewise too was he puts in goal number 5. So we also seen 3 of the top 8 outright with 3 full new teams as well. So if you're fancying a go, it's arguably the right time to do so.
Yep, still time if you are a team thinking of getting involved. Plenty of BFBS Premier League points up for grabs in the next 4 qualifiers. This will be just under the halfway point after tonight's end, and then of course next qualifier 4 will be the halfway point. So at that point it begins to get a little bit tougher. Even then you can still enter, and I know for a fact qualifiers 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 sign-ups are open. So again, if you fancy it, if you think you can do better, if you think you can be at that September LAN, get involved, get signed up, and we could be seeing you potentially on stream this time next week as P and K combining for goal number 6. And really and truly, it has been another decimation-type performance for the Royal Air Force Storm Shadows as they go now and have 3 championship points. No, 4 championship points to work with. Danny, what are the chances that they don't convert at least one of those?
Oh, I was really hoping you were going to go with the other way of that question there. I don't think they're going to need all of them. They're just going to need one chance and they'll take it.
Certainly looks that way. There is the Brazil as well, and again, for those wondering, Ash filling in for Cedric as an emergency sub for the RAF Storm Shadows. Of course, Cash, an RAF applicant, currently going through the phases of joining the Royal Air Force, which is, going to, as you can see already, bolster the strength of the team massively. And somebody that I've also had the pleasure of coaching at the professional Rocket League level as well. An excellent player, an excellent leader. One of the best to do it, in my opinion. Certainly inspiring Envy and P to championship points tonight, and we'll begin to find out if they can take at least one of those for maximum points here in Qualifier 3.
Well, it might be maximum points, but it's a case on is it with style and flair that they have been so far able to produce in this grand final. P not, however, with the sweetest of touch, but Kaish with the delicacy to put across, and Envy moves it across. The fact that that's arguably been the biggest error for the evening for them. Not too bad, but they're conceded on the other end.
Good start here for the Rattlers. Biz comes up the right-hand side of the pitch, squares up Cash. You can see Yak there just interrupting the defensive rotation of Cash, and he does it well because the Rattlers have the lead now, and this might be their route to saving at least one championship point. They're not giving up.
Certainly that seems to be the motto of Qualifier 3, not giving up, and so far PNC in the corner. One touch P, and there's a demo here. At least they'll, I would like to say a bit of width here on the play here. That's a good touch to bail them out of danger, but will it be Kaish's goal? But force 50, and Envy and P just sitting back there, not necessarily feel like they had to get involved, which is a smart decision, but not necessarily going to get you the goal.
1-0, the lead remains. There goes K, commits two Rattlers players. They're beginning to try and shut down the threat of Cash, and it will free up space for Envy and P if they're not too careful. There goes one flip reset, goes underneath the car of Biz. P flies in, and now a chance at the other end. 1 versus 1, looking to combine with each other, but it's good defending again. Nice cut that time from K in towards P. Shot on goal, but a good save by Yak.
An 8-1 touch should be a soft one, and he's not got the right connection that he wants to. Cash forces, and P will wait and patiently saw the mistake eventually being drawn out, but Yak does at least cover the angle, the second end of the entry. So, Rattlers themselves, they have room and space off it, but other than that, don't have a route in terms of causing damage of their own.
There he goes again, almost connecting with that double touch. More good defending though by the Rattlers. Biz that time on his own goal mouth with limited boost and brings them away to start an attack. Good play there by Biz. BCN with a pre-flip, centers, Yak's there, and the 50-50 could have gone either way, but it favoured the Storm Shadows there. A bit fortunate not to be 2-0 down. And this resurgent Rattlers side, they're continuing the fight back here.
About a half a game still left, though. I wouldn't say it's, early to celebrate, but it's good sort of confidence builder, and that could be a dangerous goal. A brewing Envy not tapping it in here, and Kaish and Envy, they're trying to play with their food to some extent here while still getting the most efficient touch there, but at some point you have to convert.
They're knocking and knocking at the door. Up goes Cash. Liz is on his own backboard, drops it down, beats two Royal Air Force players. That's good from Rattlers. They're maintaining their lead wonderfully, almost like a copy of game number 2. Eventually the defensive resistance was broken. Getting to that time of the game now where it's got to be now or never for the Storm Shadows if they want to do it inside 4 games, if they want the sweep here in the grand final. The Rattlers, clock ticks down, and it must feel like an absolute eternity for them as they continue this defense of the 1-0 lead. Up goes Cash, drops it down into the back of the net from a ridiculous angle, and this is what he does.
And you say that's what he does. He's never sort of stopped doing that through his entire professional career. Went onto the scene, give or take, about sort of 2017, if not early in 2018. Went to the rival series with the likes of Notorious and Legion with Mateen back in the day. Has been teammates with him, since forever. That's how it feels. Now in this sort of battle, it's just about him. It's about Envy and P, and he's just conceded a cheap one after just moving across here on the legacy of Stale. You can be most vulnerable when you've just scored.
It reigns true again. Biz that time, and giving a little bit of back and forth in the chat as well. Of course, in a friendly competitive way. I love though that the players have real drive to win. Neither team wants to lose, and if they can try and use mind games to get into the Storm Shadows' heads, it may begin to work. You never know. It's worth trying. Up goes K into Envy at the near post. 2-2, and the RAF back to level terms.
It's a bit tit for tat sort of expression here. Both sides here, a little bit of needle, not necessarily moving across here, but they want to make sure that, every opportunity is known. That's what you have to do sometimes, to have that sense of, think twice before you do it instead of have that natural reaction. Infield box pass there, not necessarily being slotted home, but it was ideal for 3-2.
There's the shot from P, coming through at a vital time, 3-2. And one of these 4 championship points looks like it's going to be converted. May be the first one, as you predicted, Danny. Ash opening up the play, and P converting, repping that new Manchester United decal, by the way, and the title and badge. I love that, by the way, as a Manchester United fan myself. I'm sure you'll agree, Danny.
No. I don't want to see a championship side.
Wow. Ouch.
If you fancy becoming a new caster, I'm pretty sure I'm getting replaced after this one, so feel free to reach out to Stell at some point here, but yeah, I think that Man United joke was one step too far. Not wrong.
I mean, I'll tell you what, you are seeing a championship winning side right now in the next 20 seconds. If the Storm Shadows can see this one through, I'll take you through to the end. It's Biz on that right-hand side. The ball is exactly where it needs to be as far as the Storm Shadows are concerned, but away they come now. One last throw of the dice. Can they recover this? It's good defending by Envy. The ball ricochets central. P goes up. Can he find one more goal to make it decisive? Envy flies in. It's a good save. The ball's still staying up. It's not dead just yet. Though surely it's going to hit the floor. It does. And the RAF Storm Shadows are finally champions of Qualifier 3. A relentless performance. And they get the job done. And I wonder, Danny, if that is something that they can continue going into qualifiers 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Well, certainly so. It'll be, a question that they'll be looking towards in terms of what they can do. Rattlers, to some extent, unlucky because they sort of went against the opposition that you just cannot beat on the day here. But that's the beauty of the sort of the qualifiers themselves here. There's one day you can play spectacularly well, play against a side that is just equally as so. If not, you can be blown right out of the water. Rattlers for 2 games were in it, but just not there to take themselves over the line. If it did, 2-2 in the series, you still fancy the RAF to send it home though.
You do, and they did. They had 4 championship points there to take, and they took it first time round. And I can indeed welcome the RAF Storm Shadows into the commentary box. They join us this evening. P, we'll start off with you. What an incredible performance. I mean, that's probably one of the best performances I've seen you have in a long, long time. What's the secret to your improvement?
The enablement from said Cash, I would believe. The passing plays, I think, are something I absolutely love from Cash. So. And we commed well. Obviously, it's nice to have someone that always comms well, just like Ed. But his third man comms are just second to none.
Well, you say it's second to none here as the longest serving RAF Storm Shadows player at this point in time here. You've seen the likes of Hopper, Migra, now the likes of Envy, now potentially Kaish, outright joining the ranks. What's changed in the last 3 years? Because we've been sitting here for the last 2 or 3 weeks here talking about everybody else signing up here. What's changed from a environmental point of view to the point here where this has become such a regular thing to give yourself such an improvement?
I think it's the overall teams have improved significantly to the point where when we started, we were all, low GC, high champ. So we didn't really feel too competitive in things like Insomnia and the events we'd go and try our best. And I feel like the improvement of the team, not just obviously my past teammates who are still unbelievable at the game, but as a whole and a collective of the group, even the Tempests, the Shadows have been unbelievable. The improvement of absolutely everyone has been immense. Yeah. And
over to you then, NV, one of the youngest players that the RAF rosters have, and of course the newest member of the RAF Storm Shadows. You've been in this team for just over think 8 or 9 months now, approaching your first full year. What does it mean to you to be on a stage like this, on a platform like this in the BFBS Pro League, and of course being Qualifier 3 champion?
It's good. Yeah, I think it's definitely signs of improvement. I mean, of course we had cash today, but it made us feel so much more comfortable and shows us how we can improve, especially in comms wise. It's like listening to his comms and comparing them to ours. It's like we know how to step up and bring it forward into the next ones.
Well, I'm sort of going to touch on to that one because I'm pretty sure the first time that I saw you in competition, MV, and correct me if I'm wrong, was the inter-service.
Yes.
Yes. So that was a particular LAN event which you're looking at September as well. You know, so far here you're probably within the top 2 now. What sort of lessons have you taken from the inter-service going into the likelihood is you will be here for the LAN event here? If this is the biggest massacre, I do apologize, but you know, what will be different for you personally as well as for the team here? Because, you know, we've heard, you know, about you being a 2K player, everything's that seemed to be developing in the right way, but personally, what is going to be for you here that's going to be that sort of next step?
I mean, personally, I've just been playing the game a lot. I've been improving. In threes, like we've been scrimming, I've been getting more used to how the game mode works because I mostly just play 2s, but 3s is slightly different. Yeah, it's just a lot of improvement from myself, a lot of playing.
And lastly, to the man of the hour, I welcome Cash to the commentary box as well. Firstly, good evening to you, and well, this is must be some kind of a new experience for you as well, having played on, you know, in Worlds, at majors in the Rocket League scene at professional level, and now of course an RAF applicant. What was that like for you?
It's a different feeling, but it's fun to be more, you know, relaxed and not as nerve-wracking. You know, it's a nice experience, especially playing with 2 of my good friends. And yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm just a sub for now. But it's nice to be able to experience this.
I think it's to some extent, strange may not be the right word here, but you know, I've been talking to Stella Many on stream here, Kaish. You know, we go back quite a bit here, and you know, about 2-3 months ago, you talk about a competitive retirement. I think that personally, myself, a mistake. You know best for yourself here. But you know, you joining the RAF here, you know, going into the main team, because there's not a chance here you're you know, going to join the Tempest or anything else. You know, NBRP may have to fight you the colder spot here. But for you here, is this, you know, I don't want to be disrespectful, not a retirement home, but is this more to keep yourself active here? Why the change here? Because it just seems to be so massive.
Not in the slightest, as I say, even though I'm obviously applying for the IF and I'm an applicant, I still plan to continue to compete in RLCS, hopefully after my phase 1 training and stuff. It's just, you know, obviously the ecosystem of Rocket League isn't great at the minute. It's very hard to get an org, and you know, it's been something I've been thinking about for a while, so why wouldn't I do that on the side as well as competing?
Something that you are more than capable of doing, and it'll be, of course, as you can tell by tonight, a small teaser of what the full-on RAS Storm Shadows team could potentially look like going forward. So it does excite me, of course, and congratulations again to the RAS Storm Shadows for pulling off the win tonight. They are Qualifier 3 champions. I think, Danny, that's a good time to wrap things up. Once again, I cannot thank you all enough for streaming in and making the BFBS Pro League what it is. And that's it from me. I think, Danny, I'm going to throw it over to you one last time to sign us off.
Well, thank you very much, of course, to the champions who was able to join us for a brief. For the first time we're doing that. Hopefully we'll get many more, maybe even day 1 for a few things as well. But you know, a challenging day for some. Others, however, will be looking at this and sort of going, what's next? Those links down below we've been talking about, Qualifier 4 to 8, they are there for anybody. Get involved. But again, don't sit there in the sideline and be an armchair, you know, commentator. That's Stella and I's job. Until next week, we'll see you then. It's a strong but a heartfelt good night.
I'm Dan Penter.
My name is Mark Langton.
I'm Peter.
My name is Staff Sergeant Richie Rees. My gamer tag is Chief Lid.
Gamer tag is Pete P Gaming.
My gamer tag I play under is SG_Reaper.
My gamer tag is MaxChat. I think the thing I'm looking forward to most as part of the UVG is actually meeting new people. There's a lot of veterans out there who haven't been connected to gaming.
Meeting fellow veterans and playing with fellow veterans, that's what I'm looking forward to do.
So just staying part of a community. So when I was in the RAF, I was part of the RAF Esports, so we did a few meetups during that. I'm looking forward to keeping that going with the veterans and expanding it, talking to the other services, which I didn't really do too much of.
We've started with a core of about 60 people that some of us knew, and as it grows every week, new people turn up, and I love meeting new people and getting to know them and gaming with them.
The thing with veterans is we understand each other.
I'm looking forward to being part of the UVG because for me, as a still serving in the British Army at the moment, is setting that stepping stone for individuals who do eventually leave the services, and looking forward to what UVG can offer them as a gamer, if they are a gamer, or even if they're not a gamer. It's just the community that is offered to them from UVG, where, you know, as a serving soldier who, you know, taking that transition into civilian street is quite hard. So for them, having that community where you've got ex-servicemen, ex-service women, for them, they can then look at those communities, and it'll be hopefully make that transition easier for them.
I think the biggest thing that UVG will do for the veterans gaming community is to connect veterans through gaming.
Speaking with other veterans